participate in what the Vietnam Veterans Association in Campbelltown. We have offices over at Dredger's Cottage, right next to the Campbelltown Wall. We have regular meetings for the Vietnam veterans, and also so that the veterans can get out. Veterans are a hard bunch of people to get to talk to. I find veterans keep to themselves so much, and they don't talk about what they've done, or where they've been, or anything like that, or what they've been involved in. But if you catch a veteran in a group of veterans, you'll be surprised how they talk to each other and relate to their problems, because we've all got the same problems. We've all got post-traumatic stress disorder. 99% of veterans are under a psychiatrist, and 1% deny they've got a problem. And that's the way it works out. The idea being with the cottage, we have a barbecue first Wednesday of each month to get veterans and their partners, especially their partners, because the partners suffer too, believe it or not. A lot of veterans suffer with alcohol abuse, drug abuse, and it can be quite abusive to their wives and families. A lot of family members have the same problems because of the fact that Dad was so hard. Because Dad was trained to be a soldier. Dad was trained to be a killer. Dad was trained to be a killer. So here he is now, trying to fit into family life, and all these things are working against his personality. So, no, it's a good thing. And like I say, again, I'm with the RSL at Minigold. And again, we mix up there. We look after veterans and their partners in all their needs, medical needs, pension needs, or anything else. We also encourage veterans to come in and join us in coffee morning to get them out of their houses, to talk to other veterans, to talk and to relate. Instead of bottling up all their problems and what they've done, you know, we'll sit in a group and we might talk about what happened during the Second World War, because there's a couple of 3 or 4 Second World War veterans here. Or a group of Vietnam veterans will talk about, I remember when, or when we were in Nui Dat, or whatever the case may be. So that's the idea of getting veterans out to talk. But again, I'll make a suggestion to you. You see a veteran on ANZAC Day wearing medals. Go up and say to him, "G'day mate, how you going? Can you explain to me what your medals are for?" Ask him outright. And if he tells you what the medals are for, and what did you do during the war? Ask him. Yeah? I'm sure most veterans are only too pleased to help out and talk to children. Well, you're not children, you're adults. To talk to you people in relation to what they went through and what they're going through at the moment. Now, the reason I like doing these talks is I don't want to see you kids end up like me. Right? Again, I'll make the suggestion, watch the Four Corners program and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And one gentleman in particular who is given a type of treatment, and the treatment is repetitive experiences. He talks about it all the time. I talk about my experiences. I've only told you a brief, the worst one that I went through. And the idea of telling you that, it's also helping me in my treatment. And that's the way I look at it. But I don't want to see you kids go the same way as I've gone. Now, there must be one more question. Yes?
What would you say to your 15-year-old self?
What would I say to my 15-year-old self? Get in a car and go. Now, if I knew you at 15 what I know now, it's a different proposition. Talking about cars, I'll tell you one more brief story. I was on my way to a reunion, ANZAC Day, a couple of years ago, down to Ingleburn. And I pulled up in a little place called Urana. Both me and my wife wanted to go to the toilet, we were driving a long way, so we went into the park and went to the toilet. When I come out of the toilet, I walked over to the War Memorial, because I always like to look at War Memorials because you never know what name comes up on here on the war memorial was O.A. Kuschert, my great uncle. And I thought, God, of all places to find him on a war memorial in the back of New South Wales, down was the Victorian border. I thought, well, I'll look into this. It passed my mind, but I didn't do too much about it. And I found out that he was in the 6th Light Horse, right? And that was as much as I knew. I went to the War Memorial here a couple of weeks ago. I heard some of you people went to the War Memorial here a couple of weeks ago. I went to the War Memorial. I went up to the 6th Light Horse and looked for his name on the board. And his name's not on the board. That's strange. He was with the 6th Light Horse and his name's not on the board. So I put in a query to the War Memorial. And the query was answered in the sense that he was sent to Gallipoli in the 7th intake for the reinforcements for the light horse, and he's listed as no known grave, still overseas. That's 100 years ago. Do you think they don't know where he's buried? So I'm now on a mission to find out what I can find out. And these are the things, if you take the time and you know people that have relatives, it's good to do even your own family tree. And it's surprising what you can find in your own family tree of army service or whatever. It is absolutely unbelievable to do it. I found out my grandfather, that's Oscar's brother, was in the military police during the First World War here in Australia, which I never knew that before. And these are the things that are coming out with a little bit of investigation and a computer, the website. The websites, you'd be surprised how many websites there are out there to find out all this information. And have you been on the Australian War Memorial website? That's the one to go into. And you'd be surprised what your family research and all the rest of it. It is absolutely unbelievable. And again, Operation Aussie Home is also another good website to go on to. So, anybody else? Yes?
What was your opinion on the ANZAC legend?
On the ANZAC legends? I think there's been a lot of brave men in Australia. In Gallipoli, on the Gallipoli Peninsula, there was 9 Victoria Crosses won by Australians. Most of them were just average Joe Blows that raced to join up and become part of the force that defended Australia's name. Stories have got out of hand over the years in relation to like Simpson and his donkey. He was doing his job, but because he took risks greater than others, he became a legend. And he died on Gallipoli. So these are the things, stories come out about all different kinds of people at different times in different battles. To me, to see a man with a military cross, a military medal on his chest, or a Victoria Cross, I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe for him to be recognised with a medal by his country, that he's done such a brilliant job. I'll tell you a brief story. I got a call from a war widow here in Campbelltown. She was having problems. She asked her a welfare officer and a pension officer to attend. So both my wife's a pension officer and I'm a welfare officer. We attended. And she showed me his medals because she didn't know what his service number was. And again, under the medal, my name appears and my regimental number appears. So I picked up his medals, and I looked at his medals and got his name and full name and number off the bottom of the medal. And I put it down, and it didn't dawn on me. And about 15 minutes after sitting there talking to this lady, I thought, hang on a minute, there's something radically wrong. This bloke was a national serviceman. So a national serviceman in Vietnam wears 5 medals. He wears an extra medal for being a national serviceman. But he had 6, and I couldn't work out why. when I picked them up, I realised that the 6th medal was a military medal. And he got a military medal in Vietnam for bravery. These are the things that impress me, you know. They're the things that make me honoured to know people, honoured to respect people, and again, to go to an ANZAC Day parade and to honour all those people that have gone before me. You know, there's four VCs, one in Vietnam. 3 of them are deceased. So when I put my medals on, I think of all those people too, all those that are deceased. The latest one, I don't know if you've heard about it, it's been on the news a little bit as of late. In the early days of Vietnam, 65...
Apologies for the interruption. Could Tanisha Finch please come to the office? Thank you.
In the early days of Vietnam, before January 1966, Australians who were killed in Vietnam ended up getting buried in Malaysia. Does that make sense? After January 66, when Harold Holt said he'll bring everybody home, he brought them home. Now we find that there is 25 Australians buried in Malaysia. They're buried at the back of a military army base in Malaysia, which the Australian public can't get access to. Their parents can't go and visit their sons' graves. It's ridiculous. There's a public outcry at the moment. There's also one buried in Singapore. He was exhumed in Singapore, taken back to Vietnam and buried in Vietnam, exhumed in Vietnam and taken back to Singapore. Why didn't they bring him home? So there's a push at the moment to get all those 25 ex-servicemen, or deceased servicemen, repatriated to Australia. And the Defence Minister has come to the party and said he is considering $1 million to rebury them here in Australia. So it's just little tidbits. So any more questions? You haven't said a word all night, have you? Go on.
Can I just ask about the living conditions?
Living conditions? In Vietnam, we lived in little butchies, tents, 8 by 6 to start with, for the first 3 weeks, and then we moved into 16 by 16 tents. 6 men to a tent, and that's how we spent the 12 months in Vietnam. If you went out in the scrub, that was your bed. You didn't take a mattress with you, air mattress, because you know why you didn't take an air mattress? When you roll over, it's and they know exactly how many were there. So you put a ground sheet on the ground and slept on the ground. That's part and parcel of an infantry soldier's life. That's why infantry soldiers now suffer with high rates of arthritis.
Apologies for the interruption. Could Tanisha Finch please come to the office? Thank you.
That's why a lot of infantry soldiers suffer with arthritis. And again, they suffer with bad knees and bad hips. You got any ideas of why?
Why?
Well, 50 kilos of weight on your back, and you jump out of a helicopter. Where's the strain?
Legs.
Yes. That answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, sir.
Did you make any friends with the South Vietnamese forces?
I had, there was a few, we had an interpreter travelling with us. Yes, we made friends with him, because he would, if we had captured any enemy, he would be the bloke to interrogate the enemy. So, yes, we made friends with him. Since I've come back to Australia, I've made friends with a whole heap of Vietnamese people. We mix now with the South Vietnamese Army Group, which is still pretty strong over Canley Heights. We go over there quite regularly for share a meal with them and to their entertainment, share their entertainment with them at night, to show our gratitude, and they show us their gratitude as well for helping them when they were in need. They'd like to go back to Vietnam and take Vietnam again, but I don't think there's any chance. Because they're all in their 70s and 80s too now. So, unbelievable.
Just lastly, what sort of challenges do you see for the continuing ANZAC tradition?
I can see it growing, for the simple reason being, when a veteran or when an ex-serviceman comes to a school and talks to children, I believe that it stirs the urge to find out a little bit more. So tonight when you go home, go on you just trawl through the websites and have a look and see what's available. But the idea being, I have to last for the next 100 years. And like I say, all the Gallipoli veterans are now gone, and Alex Campbell being the last one to go at 106. And consequently, we're still ANZAC Day services now are getting larger and larger. You've only got to look at your local here in Campbelltown, the number of people that show up for ANZAC Day services. And the same with Remembrance Day services, with Victory and Pacific Day services, and even Vietnam Veterans Day. You know, to have a group of your students with you at Vietnam Veterans Day. It's absolutely fantastic to see the younger members taking part and to come out and to listen into what's going on and what it's all about. Yes, mate. No, I wasn't wounded in battle. And what you're about to ask me, what's that on your forehead? All right? Now, people who come from countries on the tropics realise how hot it is. It was 40 degree plus most days. The sun was bright, and I'm as white as they come. And my skin is so white, it's unbelievable. I've ended up with heaps of sun cancers. Had half my nose taken off. It's all patched up, and I've got no feeling in my nose. Half my forehead's all gone. Arms, legs, chest, you name it. I've had bits and pieces taken off. For that reason, the heat over there is so unbelievable, and the humidity, 99% humidity. Yeah, it's absolutely, you just about drown breathing. That's how bad some of the temperatures are. And again, we left Sydney on the 6th of June. We arrived in Vietnam on the 7th of June. And we left Sydney, we had wrapped up in blankets and trying to keep warm. We get to Vietnam and it's at 40 degrees. It's unbelievable. Absolutely, the temperature change is absolutely unbelievable. Yes, sir.
Did you ever go back to Vietnam at all? Like, have you?
No. I thought about it and thought about it. I'm now 70 years of age. I'll be 70 this year. My wife went back 3 or 4 years, went over there 3 or 4 years ago to have a look at the country. Because she comes to the schools with me, and we do the talks with the schools on the Vietnam War, we usually come with your camera's just about to fall off the stand. Yeah. Just because when we go to the school, we go with an Army, Navy and Air Force person to show the different roles each of the services played within the Vietnam War. We also take a wife to let the wife talk in relation to what was like during the Vietnam War and after the Vietnam War, and how they're travelling today, and what problems that each of the veterans have with their partners. You know, I know most of the veterans, or a lot of the veterans that I know, have had at least 2 or 3 marriages because of the fact that they just can't settle down with the one person, and they can't hold a marriage together. So that's the problem. Right, any more questions?
I think that pretty well
No.
summarises
Anything at all? Just one more question.
Maybe someone from the United, I know you've been brought here on a false pretense this afternoon, and they
You're supposed to be guns next
Very
year.
well
Don't take it over.
Yes, mate.
There's a new TV show on Channel 9 called Gallipoli.
Yes, I haven't watched it.
Well, I was going to ask if you said that was accurate.
I do believe it's been the closest thing to accurate. I don't like watching war movies, I'll be honest, or war series, I'll be honest with you. Right, it brings back too many memories. There is one film, and I don't advocate films at all, right, but I will advocate one film, if you can get your hands on it. Mel Gibson, We Were Soldiers. Now that is the closest thing to Vietnam. Now it happened in 1965, the 1st Infantry Division, and I was up there at the time, so we heard a lot of the chit-chatter on the radios of what happened. And it is the closest thing to a war movie, even to the fact that in the early days of the Vietnam War, when a soldier was killed in the field, his parents, or his wife or parents, would receive a telegram by taxi to say, your husband's dead. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And it wasn't until a little bit later on down the track they used to send a padre around. So could you imagine walking to the door, someone knock on your door, open the door and see a padre standing there? You know, it'd be a bit hard, wouldn't it? These are the little things that stick in my mind of what happened. But again, that movie, if you watch it once and go back and watch it a second and a third time and see the difference in the personalities of the platoon commanders and platoon sergeants. I won't tell you anymore, you have to have a chat. But to see the difference in personalities. And the old sergeant major picks every last one of them. He's a long-time military person, and he can actually pick their personalities before they go into battle. I'll leave it at that. Anything more? Yes, sir.
What did you have for food while you were over there?
We had ration packs. One-man ration packs. If I had a bit of paper, I'd show you something. But
Would you like to use the board?
yeah.
Or do you need to?
No, yes, just a scrap of paper. As long as it's only that good, and the ration packs. And I like to send you young ladies. I really do. I want to tell you all about this. In the ration packs, there was a day's supply. When you went out in the field, you went out with 4 one-day ration packs, 3 meals, and in those 3 meals, with those 3 meals, there was only 8 sheets of toilet paper to last you for the day. That sounds awful, doesn't it? 8 sheets of toilet paper. And there's a way of making it go further. You want to know how? Sheet of toilet paper. Fold the paper. And you fold the paper again. You tear the corner out of it. You know why you tear the corner out of it? That's most important. You hold that one, of course, will you? You hold that. And don't lose it. So what you do, you put your finger through the toilet paper and do your business. And then you wipe your finger. And you're going to say, what's the corner for? Come out the corner. The corner's most important. Because you've got to clean under your fingernail. So, all servicemen use humour. They call each other by nicknames. They use different jokes and things. This is one thing, light-hearted thing I like to put in a talk, for the simple reason being, he's got a laugh at it. And it's just to show you, everything's not serious as what war is. There is a lot of personal side to war. Now, the friendships you make, the fun times you have. When we were on leave, we used to go on the sideline and have a beer. But again, you wouldn't know who was sitting in the bar, the Vietnamese sitting beside you in the bar, whether you were fighting him last night or not. That was the silly part about the war. They had their leave in Vietnam, in Saigon as well, or in Bang Tao. And this is the silly part about it. The war was stupid. It was absolutely ridiculous, Vietnam. Because, again, we never knew who we were fighting. Both the friendlies and enemy all spoke the same language. It's incredible. Sorry about that, girls.
if we don't have any more questions, we might end your talk this afternoon. We thank you very much for having Ray to visit and talk to us. So thanks for listening very carefully. Harrison, we might just get a couple of stills.
Stills, yeah.